Oh snap!
We are live on YouTube for the first time. We've never done this whole live video thing before, so bear with us here. We've got some stuff that we want to talk about. See how many views do we have? We got 0 viewers right now, so.
I'm gonna try to share this to Facebook.
Oh.
So
I thought we had one, we don't.
I'm about to share this to Facebook.
Okay. So, the topic of discussion, as soon as he gets everything set up here on the laptop, we'll go ahead and begin. As you can see in the title, the topic of discussion is the pay-to-play trap that a lot of bands end up buying into, especially a lot of local bands that are trying to get out there, trying to get their name out, trying to get heard, trying to score some better shows. And anybody that's been in a band knows how hard that can be sometimes, especially if you live in an area that really doesn't have a lot of support for local music or live music. So what pay to play comes down to, it's an option for playing a gig at a venue where a promoter will contact a band and tell them, here's a date that we can get you into this venue on this show. But what we need you to do is buy a certain amount of tickets.
Yeah, it might be 10, might be 50.
Yeah, it could be anything, any number of tickets, and you're gonna pay. They're probably gonna sell them to you at a discounted rate, so that you can resell these tickets and make some money off of them. But what you're doing is giving them all of the money up front for whatever they want for the tickets. A lot of bands will do this and end up spending money to play a show. There's also, I've seen promoters who will literally just tell bands, if you want to play, here's how much it costs. You give me this much, and I'll put you on the bill. That does nothing for local music. It does nothing for music scenes. All it does is it puts a show together. That's it.
And it allows the promoter to, I guess, have some insurance and to put the band that's ready to pay. It might not be the best band, but the band that's ready to pay, they're gonna play.
Right.
It's typically not the best band.
Like if they're not a band, if this band does not have a draw, period, in situations like this, they can literally just pay to get on a show and be there. And if they don't have a draw, then you end up in a situation of bands playing for an audience that consists of a bartender and a few other band members and maybe like whoever they've drawn in, and that's it. You're not getting any new exposure really. The pay to play system, it's not good for anybody.
Yeah, around here, some of the big things I noticed, I think it's Guerrilla Music Records or whatever.
Guerrilla Music was not like, they may be different now, but Guerrilla Music, they had a very similar system set up. What was it that you dealt with them, or have you dealt with them?
I've dealt with them once, and basically, they do no promoting. Their promoter isn't even from Louisville. They were from Cincinnati. Most of their stuff is, what's it called, Battle of the Bands, but this one was not. Basically, we were given 25 tickets or 50 tickets, and every time we sold all those, they would mail us some more tickets, and we would give them half the money, or even, I think it was, we'd give them all the money, and then after 10 tickets, we would get $1 off each ticket, and so on, something like that. But basically, they did no promoting. There was like 8 bands. Most of the bands bought tickets. So the bands that sold the least amount of tickets played first. And you have this show where there's like 5 people. And so you're playing first, and there's like no one there. And the climax of the show might be 5 or 10 people. And,
The experience that we had with Guerrilla Music, like I said, or like he said, they're a promoter. They're a promoter, but they don't promote the show in any way, shape, or form. They're literally there to collect money. Um, the one experience that we had with them, they sent us tickets. We, I think we had to turn in all of the ticket money and all of the unsold tickets before the show started. We had a set time that we had to turn everything in, and at the end of it, at the very end of the night, and I'm talking like a 10 or 12 band show. It was at a nice venue, but it was a 10 or 12 band show. If we waited until the very end, we got a cut of it was like a certain percentage of our sales. But your position was not determined until you turned in your tickets. Um, whoever the order that you played in was determined by how many tickets you sold. So if you got stuck playing early in the evening, there really wasn't anyone there. Most of the bands would come and turn in their stuff and leave. Uh, People they brought with them, people weren't showing up until later in the evening. And I think that a lot of these bands, I know one band in particular, they were a group of very young people. Their parents had done all of the selling in like at work and at church for them, and they sold all of their tickets, but they had no crowd to come and see them play.
It's basically donations.
Yeah, it was basically a donation to that band. Oh, you're watching us live over here. And well, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was basically they were donating to their friend's kids band, but they were getting zero exposure. Which brings me to something else. Venues and promoters who will tell you, I can't pay you, but it's good exposure.
Yeah.
Have you ever been paid in exposure?
I mean, generally, I'd say over 90% of the time, it's just a promoter. They're being lazy or trying to get a band to play for free. It's usually not worth it,
Right.
in my opinion.
I believe in promoting your own shows and promoting your own band just as much as anyone should. But if you are a promoter, you should at least put out what you're doing. You should have some kind of information out there about shows that you have coming up, because you're getting paid to do this too. I mean, it's not just you're not solely making money off of the bands that you have play for you. You're making money off the crowds that come in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that pretty much anyone who's been in a band like this has dealt with shitty promoters and just shitty venues and situations all around. But
I think the thing that's hurting is a lot of times the sound guy or the venue owner or the bartender, also the promoter. The promoter is supposed to promote. I mean, that's a big part of the job.
yeah,
But a lot of times that's not their biggest concern for the show. It might be bartending or something else, doing sound. They really don't promote a lot of times. But there are obviously great promoters out there, but we're just kind of parsing out some of the negatives that we see.
yeah, we've got
with
some
exposure.
delay over here on this too, and it's kind of interesting to see. In our area, we have a couple of really, really good, upstanding promoters that do an awesome job that have been doing it for a long time. It's nowhere near a pay to play situation. They give you tickets plus they promote. You sell your tickets, you keep a cut. I have no problem with that whatsoever. What do you think on it?
I like that. I would. I know there's some kind of DIY, do-it-yourself type places where you can kind of organize. There's a few places I really like in Indiana and Ohio where you can organize a show between bands. The venue doesn't pay you nothing guaranteed, but you basically split the door, and I really like that. Like they have no former promoter, I guess, in that sense, but you're actually, I mean, it's very fair.
So is that ticketed at all, or is it all just people who come and pay at the door?
It's, I think they just, there's no early tickets. or sometimes they'd split the bar tab, something like that. I've played shows like that where it's DIY, and the show might be $5 a person, and I might come out with $280. Not bad at all.
That's interesting. I mean, that would definitely be enticing. I mean, getting with a venue and setting up a show just between the bands. That would be, we do that sometimes here. We'll rent out a shelter house at a park, or some other kind of public rentable building or whatever, and put on a show. And either everyone will split the cost of it, and then they'll split the door after the show, or one person will pay for it up front and then just take that out of the door and then split the rest of it with the bands. We've done both plenty of times around here.
Yeah. Yeah, Hoosier Dome, I think that's in Indianapolis, but the band just put that on themselves. There's no promoter. All they bring is a sound guy to unlock the door and do sound. And, you don't own the venue, anything. I don't know who pays for it, but it's kind of cool. I like those kind of venues. But.
Yeah, that's something I would like to look into. So we've been on here for like 10, 11 minutes. We've got one viewer, which is us. Hopefully we get some more views on this video. If you're in a band, you want to fucking add something to this, or ask us questions, or add some of your own experiences to it, I mean, that would be great. Create some discussion with us. Again, this is the first time that we've gone live on YouTube. I've done a couple short live videos on Facebook, but nothing where I'm like sitting down actually talking about any kind of a real topic like this. So,
Come on. Just trying to look up some articles, see if they mention anything that we can bring up.
oh yeah, articles about pay to play. I've read some stuff before, but one of the ways that I believe that pay to play hurts a local music scene is that it's literally just some one person looking to make money off of someone else's work. That's really the best way to put it. Someone looking to make money off of someone else's work.
I think Summer Slaughter used to do this, or I would be connected to Summer Slaughter, where there'd be a battle of the bands. What do you think about that? Where there's a huge, I don't know if the bands made anything, but there'd be a huge show.
I don't like band battles.
Yeah, I don't either.
I believe that it's counterproductive to a music scene. It's counterproductive to developing a scene. It's counterproductive to building good relationships between bands, in my opinion. Because it's literally, it may not be, most battles that I've seen, it may not be judged by any certain type of criteria. The only criteria they may be judging these bands on is with a sound meter and seeing whose crowd can be the loudest for them. Well, if you have I've seen it. If you have a really good band that for one reason or another did not have as many people come out to that show for them, they're not going to win over someone else who may have more friends or may have convinced more people to come out, and the crowd is just louder for them, and regardless of what they sound like. There's just too much to a battle to make it fair for me to even want to ever get involved in them. And I've played them before, and I just believe that they're counterproductive to pit one band against another in fucking metal, where you're supposed to be helping each other out.
So I've always noticed that it's generally the band that sells the most tickets, whether they paid for them or not, usually wins it. And I mean, like Guerrilla Music, I've heard bad things about them. Not because usually the battle of the bands is maybe for studio time, whoever wins, something like that.
Studio time or some kind of equipment. I've got a buddy, his band played and they won. They won some recording equipment. They were supposed to get studio time. They kept getting pushed out. And
yeah, I've heard
they never got
stuff
it.
like that.
Yeah, they never got their studio time. What was that about exposure? Yeah, it'll be great exposure for your band to come here and play for my venue for free.
So, what are your thoughts about paying for tours?
Paying for tours? Um, well, if a band has the money to pay for a tour, I believe that goes the same as paying to win a battle of bands or paying to play a fucking show in general. If you're paying money to get on a tour and your band is shit, but you had the money to pay to get on and that's all that mattered, you're gonna add a shitty aspect to that tour, and less people are probably gonna come out to it and see it.
I don't know. I have nothing against bands paying for tours. Paying, I mean, a lot of that money goes towards food, bus, stuff like that. Someone dying.
My dog got a little choked, I think. What the fuck is he doing? So why don't you have a problem with people paying for tours, but do you have a problem with bands paying to get on shows?
I have. I think there should be expectations for bands. Like, for instance, say they want to play with band X, they don't meet the expectations. The promoter says, "All right, I want you to sell 20 plus tickets," and they don't meet it. Then that should hurt them in the next show. With that promoter. But I don't know. What are your thoughts?
So I'm still wondering why you don't have a problem with bands paying to get on a tour. I know that the money goes toward food, transportation, and whatnot, and I've got zero experience with that. I don't know what the money goes for, but if a band pays to get on a tour,
So
is their food and transportation covered, or do they have to pay that expense on their own typically?
the hardest thing about tour, in my opinion, is setting up the dates, setting up the stuff with promoters, and
Okay.
bands may not pay for a tour directly to get on with a big name, but they might pay for a booking agent, stuff like that. So,
Okay.
to get on a tour with a big band, that's kind of already paid for. Someone's got to do the work, so you're paying someone to do the work, stuff like that, as well as some of the. You might pay for travel if you want to share a bus.
That makes sense.
You might pay for someone doing sound. If you have someone touring with you doing sound, you might pay for some roadies, things of that nature.
I mean, that makes sense. Everyone on the tour has to be paid, but is it a situation of literally just anybody can do it?
I doubt, like, let's say Cannibal Corpse, if there's a shitty band or a band that does not mesh, like, let's say electronica music, or a shitty teen wave band tries to get on a show with Cannibal Corpse, I doubt the people that work for them would allow that, because you're not going to be dealing with Cannibal Corpse directly to get on that tour. You're going to probably be dealing with someone related to that record label, something like that.
Okay, so paying to get on a tour is probably a lot different than
Yeah,
just paying to get on a show.
I think so.
Okay. So, what else do you have to add? Do you have anything else to add to the whole pay to play thing? What do you think it does to a music scene? What do you think it does to local bands and venues and even smaller independently signed or independently operated bands?
Well,
Do you think that it hurts the guys who are putting in more work?
I mean, if you have a scenario where the promoter exclusively cares about how many tickets you sell, not how many people go to the bar, because a lot of times the bar will make more money from an individual than the ticket will.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, if the promoter is strictly looking for ticket sales, I think it's gonna hurt the music scene in multiple ways.
Yeah, I definitely believe that that whole thing hurts music communities. Well, let us know what your thoughts are. I don't really know how we can expand any more on this. If there's something else that you want to see us go live about, if there's something that you would like to engage in discussion with us about, let us know. Feel free to comment, message us, whatever. We will we'll answer you. You know, we'll reply to comments, messages, and whatnot. So yeah, this has been our first live video on the Metal Zine channel.
Yeah, we talked about doing a reaction video. I don't know if we're gonna do that, but I don't know if we're gonna do that this week. But well, let us know if you want us to do that at a certain time, or if you want us to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do the next time that we go live. We'll make a post on Facebook and whatnot.
We'll try to make it maybe an hour or so early. What do you think?
Yeah. We'll try to post up whenever we're gonna schedule. I mean, we can schedule it early in the week and start promoting it, you know, with an event or whatever.
Yeah.
And just get the word out that we're gonna go live. You know, the one viewer that we've had on this one has been us, but nobody knew we were going live. We never said it. We never talked about it. It's literally just something that we kind of discussed amongst ourselves and spontaneously did. So